Swiss made, family owned, and with 100 years of history and watchmaking. And you probably never heard of them. Hey, what is up guys? My name is Oleg, this is Bond. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel and like the content, do subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos, and we have some awesome watch reviews and watch unboxings coming your way. In today's video, I'm going to review a Titoni Spacestar from 1970s, 1980s that I picked up last week at the flea market. In my opinion, this watch offers incredible amount of value for a very affordable price. Now, of course, you can't go to the same flea market as I did and pick up the same watch, but they still could be found on eBay and on different forums for a very reasonable price. In my opinion, this watch is a perfect Rolex Datejust alternative if you don't want to spend that $3,000 to $4,000. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So here's the Titoni Spacestar. Let's start this review by looking at the dimensions. We have a case diameter of 35.5 millimeters, a lug to lug width of 41.5 millimeters, a lug width of 19 millimeters, and the thickness of 11 millimeters. So the watch has an all stainless steel case with a stainless steel bracelet. We'll come back to the Jubilee style bracelet in a minute or so. Now, originally, I think this watch was all polished finish. However, of course, over the years, it kind of worn in. So the finish almost looks like a hybrid between polished and brushed. We do have some bevels on the lugs, and the overall finish on the case is done really well. And it kind of held up well over the years as well. Here's the other side. We also have this domed acrylic crystal, and you can see that the crystal has this kind of a checkered pattern to it. From certain angles, like this angle here, you can see that it has kind of two lines going across this way and two lines going across that way. It looks really cool in person. The camera kind of picks it up, but not really. Now that pattern is done on the inside of the crystal and not on the outside. If I pull my finger across the crystal like that, I can't feel any ribs of the edges of this kind of checker pattern, but I'm guessing it's done on the inside. It gives it a little bit of a more interesting look, and in different lighting conditions, it looks almost as if those lines are on the dial itself. As far as the dial goes, it's kind of a creamy color. It's not exactly white, and again, it has a little bit of patina over the years, of course. All applied indices for hour markings. We have the applied 009 in the reference to this specific model of the Spacestar, Titoni, and the logo applied by 12 o'clock position. We also have this date window for date complication at the 3 o'clock, and Swiss made written here by 6 o'clock. I love that patina. It really looks like this watch has a lot of history, has a lot of heritage. So whenever I wear it, I can almost feel all that history, all that heritage, all the different experiences that this watch has been through, and now I am lucky enough to own it. As I mentioned in the introduction of this video, I purchased mine on the flea market. I paid only $50 US for this watch. The seller wanted 100. We kind of went back and forth, and I was able to get him down to $50. Now, the only reason I was able to get him down to 50 is because I bought many other watches from him in the past. So we had a little bit of a relationship going, and sometimes he will give me a bit of a break just in order to keep one of his customers that buys a lot of watches happy. Now, of course, you can't go to the same flea market and pick up this watch for the same price, but you can find them on eBay. You can still find them on different forums for around 100 to 200 US, which in my opinion is a fantastic price for this watch. Since I bought this watch, it quickly became one of my favorite watches in the collection. To be honest, until I found it, I had no idea that Titoni as a brand even existed, but ever since I found out, I've been fascinated with them. So they were founded in 1919, almost 100 years ago, and they're still family owned, which is not common with Swiss watch companies. Usually they become part of the group like Swatch Group, but these guys are still family owned. Now they are owned and run by this third generation, which is really cool. They still make and sell watches. If you go to their website, you can see all the new models that they offer. Now, from my understanding, they are now focusing on the Asian market. So in Beijing, in Shanghai, they opened this big glamorous stores, and I think that's the primary market that they're selling watches towards. I'm guessing that's one of the reasons why I never heard about this brand, is because here in Canada they're not very active in terms of marketing. We have this Jubilee style bracelet and this clasp, just a fold over pressed metal clasp, closes like that. It's still very secure. If you have any experience with any of the vintage watches that feature this type of clasp, you know exactly what it feels like, because they're all pretty much identical. This bracelet is either hate it or love it. A lot of people hate the Seiko SKX Jubilee bracelet, and I gotta tell you, that is a much better bracelet than this. This feels very flimsy because it only has this one center link as opposed to 2 or 3 like in other Jubilee bracelets. So it's very flimsy, very light, makes a lot of rattling noise, but I actually really like it. I really like this bracelet. It feels really comfortable and it fits the overall aesthetic of this watch really well. It fits the period of time that when this watch was created really well, so I can't wear this watch on anything else other than this Jubilee original bracelet. And if you are in a market for buying one of these watches, I would strongly recommend trying to find one on the original bracelet. At least try it. If you hate it, of course put it on a leather strap or maybe even an ETA, but on the bracelet it does feel really cool. It feels very authentic. We have the crown at the 3 o'clock position. It is a signed crown, and you can still see over all these years the signed crown held up really well. No crown guards or anything like that. Kind of a very retro style to this watch. And the star of the watch is undoubtedly the movement. So this watch, at least from my research, features ETA 2790-1 movement. Finding a movement like that in a watch for $50 is amazing. Even finding a movement like that in a watch for $200 is amazing. We also have the date complication. Now let me demonstrate. And it also has the quick set date. But what I really want to show you, because we all know how the quick set date works. You put it in the first position and you turn it one way, it flips the day. You turn it the other way and flips the date. But just watch how quickly the date changes. Around 11:47, I believe, it just snaps. Look at that. Boom. Both of them just snapped. And now we're on the new day. Incredible. My watch is actually running fairly accurately, so I'm getting within 30 seconds per day. It is running a bit fast, so about 30-40 seconds per day. I haven't really tested the watch that much because it's a vintage watch. I don't really like to occupy myself with accuracy all that much with vintage timepieces. So why is this a perfect alternative to a vintage Rolex Datejust? Well, let me just tell you this. Of course, it's not a substitute for a Rolex Datejust. Rolex is still Rolex. It still has the quality, it still has the movement, it still has the finishes, and of course still has the value. But in my opinion, this watch here represents and has a lot of the same design cues. It has a very similar look to a Rolex Datejust without being an homage, without being a copy. The Jubilee bracelet, the dial, the domed acrylic crystal, the crown without the crown guards, even the case shape and the sizing, all reminiscent of the Rolex Datejust. It has the heritage and the history coming from a company that is almost 100 years old, almost the same age as the Rolex. I love the comfort of it, I love the styling of it, and most importantly, I love the feeling that this watch gives me whenever I wear it. And ultimately, this is what watch collecting as a hobby is all about. Having that watch in your collection, or a couple of watches in your collection, that when you wear it, makes you feel a little bit special, makes you feel almost invincible, and that's what this watch does for me. So if you are in a market for a vintage Rolex Datejust, but just can't quite afford one yet, or maybe don't want to spend that $3,000 to $4,000 yet in this stage of your life, look into Titoni Spacestar. They have Airstar or Airmaster series. There are quite a few different examples of these watches online, on eBay, on forums, that will satisfy that craving and that provide a lot of value for the money. And finally, here's what the watch looks like on my 7¼ wrist. It fits perfectly and it's super comfortable. The clasp has a lot of micro adjustments, so it's very easy to size it correctly to your wrist. I love the Jubilee bracelet. It makes the watch very light, very comfortable to wear, and when I wear this watch, I almost can't feel it. It's as if I'm not wearing anything, and that's part of the reason why I love it so much. Alright guys, so that was the full review of the Titoni Spacestar. After I bought this watch, it quickly became one of the favorite watches in the collection. In fact, for the first week, I couldn't wear anything else. It's just super comfortable, and the feeling that it gives me when I wear it is indescribable, and that's what this hobby is all about. The feeling that you get from wearing the watch. By the way, today on my wrist, I'm wearing the MWC flea style watch. I also picked this one up at the flea market. I'll do a review and give you a story of how that happened in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss that video. I appreciate you watching this video until the end. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what is your nomination for the perfect Rolex Datejust alternative. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.